Okay.
All right. This is Atesis News. I'm Damian Mendoza, and we're here in South Carolina. And we're having a discussion about the coming election and possible future in our country. And today I'll be talking to my cousin Katie, and she's going to give her views and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
So go ahead.
My name is Katie. I'm 46. I am a critical care nurse. I've been a nurse for the last 10 years. I spent 8 years working with the forensic team doing sexual assault examinations as well. Now I work critical care, do education for the team, and bedside care.
And so, will you be voting in the next coming days?
Yes, I do plan to vote probably on Tuesday, on Election Day.
Okay. And do you mind saying who you are voting for?
I plan to vote for Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And are you usually have you usually given Democrat or Republican? Is Democrat usually your leaning?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you always voted Democrat?
I have always voted Democrat. I haven't always wanted to vote Democrat.
Sure.
I really like the idea of third parties,
Mm-hmm.
multiple parties.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish that those were viable options. But I just felt like, I think a lot of people did, that a vote for a third party would take away from a Democratic election win.
Sure. I mean, options, right? That is kind of what the foundation of democracy is supposed to be about, right?
Yeah.
The more options, the better. Do you think that, the Democratic Party as a whole, do you think that it holds the values that you have? Or, does it support the values that you have?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say that the Democratic Party is something that I'm passionate about.
Right.
And you hear a lot of people use the phrase like the lesser of two evils.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I feel that way a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I really feel the real reason why I support Democrats usually is because of Roe v. Wade and maintaining the right of a woman to choose what to do with her body in the event of an unwanted pregnancy.
Right, absolutely.
And really, really honestly, that is what my vote comes down to.
So abortion would be you would say your biggest issue for you is abortion.
Yeah.
So if you had the power to change anything about our country, would it be Roe v. Wade?
I don't think that's not the only thing that I would change, but that is one of the things that I'm most afraid of.
Okay.
Is these laws that are coming down that are restricting people from accessing that kind of healthcare and security for their own lives and being told what to do with their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
In some of these situations, these people are put in these situations through no fault of their own.
Right. Yeah.
And, like this
Incest,
young 13-year-old who was sexually
children.
Assaulted, and wasn't that Georgia just recently? And she's being made to carry this baby to term. I don't understand how.
There was the issue in Ohio. I remember that, where there was a young woman who, I believe she was raped, and they wanted to force her to have the rapist child, which comes down to a big moral dilemma. And you would hope that the government doesn't get involved in those kind of issues.
Yeah, I don't think the government should get involved in any of that issue.
Right. Oh, I agree with that.
They have, if it is rape, if it's incest, if it's just an accident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think that the government should have anything to do with that. And I want people to have access to safe healthcare,
Yeah.
medical care.
So healthcare obviously is another being that you are involved in healthcare, and you see things
As a patient and a provider, yeah.
As a patient and a provider. Do you believe that, our healthcare system provides the necessary care for its citizens? And, if not, like, are you a supporter of universal healthcare?
I am a supporter of everybody having access to healthcare. The hospital that I work at accepts everybody regardless of their ability to pay.
Right.
And I don't know how that part works.
Right.
I'm not involved in that part at all. I really honestly don't know much about how insurance works.
Yeah, well, I don't think many people, understand exactly how that works. It's so convoluted,
right.
Very complicated. I think a lot of times that is done on purpose,
Sure. Yeah.
But, one way or the other, we all pay for it regardless, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not you have it or not. If someone gets sick and they don't have insurance,
But there are people that abuse, we see people abuse that system as well. People
sure.
That miss their dialysis appointments, for example, for one reason or another, or choose not to go, and then they end up going to the emergency department for dialysis. Like, that's a misuse of the medical system. And then they get admitted to the ICU because their electrolytes are off, and it takes several days to get that back together.
Right.
That's not right. That's not what that's for.
Right, absolutely. And so after the election, obviously, no one knows who's going to win and what's going to play out. But do you think, a lot of people would say, democracy is on the line in this election. Do you think that democracy is on the line with this election?
I don't know. I think Donald Trump has made he has said some really scary things to me. Like his words about, we'll never have to worry about this again.
Right.
You vote for me, we'll never have to do this again. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Yes.
And how much power would he have to create a system that does away with our democracy? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, kind of going off that point, what do you think of the Supreme Court's decision to essentially give presidents almost unlimited power while they're in office? Do you think that was a good idea? Or do you support that idea?
No, I think that's super dangerous.
There's
a reason why our government was built with a checks and balance system.
Right.
And that scares me to death. I didn't know that the Supreme Court had passed that. I have been wrapped up in my own little world, I guess.
Yes, it's been a recent thing. I can't recall exactly how long ago it happened, but I would say within the last 6 months, the Supreme Court essentially gave presidents, pretty much the power to do what essentially a president now can do what he wants and be exempt from being charged. So it kind of gives them almost king-like power while they're in power.
Yeah.
But, it can go Democrat. Joe Biden at this moment has that power.
Sure.
Whether he chooses to use it or not, he hasn't done that. He hasn't used the power that he's been given. But, one can assume that if Donald Trump becomes president, he'll probably use that power to do some things, one way or the other.
Yeah. I mean, he has stated so much that he would.
Yeah. I mean, his rhetoric is definitely can be very, leaning towards authoritarian, if you will, or,
Yeah.
And it goes, it could just be rhetoric, but it could not. We don't know until that happens.
I don't love Kamala Harris.
Right.
There's nothing about her specifically that is super exciting.
She doesn't make you feel good necessarily about your vote for her.
No, not particularly. Like, really, I'm voting against Trump.
Yeah.
That's my bottom line.
Right, that's your bottom
Is that
line.
I'm voting against Trump, and she has the best chance to beat him. So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay. And final question. Where do you see our country in 10 years? Do you look at the future, that far down, or have you not given it much thought?
Well, I think that next week is going to, we're going to see next week. And the future of our country is scary to me. I think we've trashed our country. We're not taking care of our people.
Mm-hmm. We send a lot of money to other countries for sure.
We do that. And I feel like we need to just circle the wagons. And there is a lot of work and repair that needs to be done here.
Yes. And I think that, in order to do that, we need to speak to one another,
Yeah.
and not be afraid to speak to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we don't share the same, the same political views necessarily, talking is how you get through that, right?
Yeah.
Compromise.
Sure.
We have to learn to compromise and not just say, hey, well, you voted for Trump, so I hate you. You voted for Kamala Harris, I hate you. Doesn't really get us anywhere, right? So, I'd say to wrap up, I think that's a good place to stop. Hey, we need to be able to speak. I appreciate you taking some time to talk to me today.
Of course, yeah.
And we'll be on our way to the next place soon. And in a few days, we'll be in DC, and we'll be right there to see what happens.
Yeah, that's it. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah,
That's
thank
cool.
you. Yeah, so thank you for talking to me today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks for being here.
All right. How's that?